But how do you also discover the other person's motive? Because you can be true to yourself, but you want to know what he or she thinks about you or the relationship.
Communication comes in.
Okay, so
Of
does it mean
course.
you need to ask him or her what are your
Yes, it still boils down to communication. A relationship is 99% communication.
Okay, I understand the place of communication, but the
Yes.
point here is how do you know if the person is telling you the truth? It's
Time.
time. Like
Time.
how long will you then give to find out?
Look at it. You when you make this whole thing look like it becomes an endless puzzle. No, there are factors to determine. Once you see someone that has a goal, has a vision. I watched something. I watched a program this morning on YouTube. Some of those a legal program and an online legal case between two couple, between a couple. You know, the young man came and was saying a whole lot of things about the lady, and if you listen to the young man, you could just tell like, oh, this woman is a wicked woman. Said a whole lot of things, only for the lady to now begin to talk, and then we now realize that wow, this is even the lady that has been carrying the family. So when you're working with someone who has no vision, you just know, because this young man was talking as though the lady was all that wicked until the lady now began to speak about the young man not even being the one that takes care of the family, that's leaving the whole work for her to do. She pays much of the bills. It seems like she was already getting fed up about the whole thing, being that I married someone who had no vision for life, who plays Bet Niger, with the family money, who lies, who does a whole lot of things. So it doesn't take you 20 years to discover someone who has no vision. Communication and then body language, actions. With that, you can tell who is telling the
It
truth.
means that you need to look out for signs.
Look out
by
for
yourself,
yes, of
beyond
course.
what the person has
Exactly,
to say.
exactly.
Okay, beyond what the person
You
has to
just
say,
look out.
for
Is this
signs.
person hardworking? Does this person has
you
a
can
goal?
see them
Thank you.
before
It's just obvious. Are they serious with what they are doing? Based on what you want, are they serious about it? I'm a business person. Am I serious about it? Am I pursuing it very well? I'm in ministry. Am I doing it? Whatever endeavor, if it's a man, if it's a woman, what are you bringing to this place? Do you have what is required to push the relationship to the next phase? So I believe communication brings out the whole thing. And of course, communication could be verbal, could be non-verbal. So you look out for signs, you look out for body languages, which is also a mode of communication.
Okay,
So once you look out for those things and then you don't see them, of course, the reason why you're doing this thing is because you want to build trust. You really want because when these things, why I'm talking about vision is because vision affects every other thing. Vision affects trust. Vision affects intimacy. Vision affects a whole lot of things.
and that's very important because in vision you will see the person as he or she is.
Because many people, sorry, there's so much to talk about on this. Many people jump most of these things and then began to look for maybe emotional connection, emotional intelligence, and all those things. But one thing you look out for very, very well is, who am I? Who is this person to me? Where is it going? Are we going the same direction? I'm speaking from, as a spiritual leader and as someone who have counseled a lot of people, because the worst thing to look out for, is look out for right virtues from the wrong vessel. If you're looking out for the right virtues from the wrong vessel, or you are going in a different direction and you now enter the wrong bus, you can never get all those things right. You must have to be with the right person. This person you are with must be the person you ought to be with. You can, if you're in ministry, you will need to roll with someone who also understands what you're doing.
So this means now that you need to have a yardstick.
Yes, of
You
course.
should have, not like the person must be perfect, but you
Yes.
should have some rules that must guide the person you are going to spend your life with in
Definitely.
marriage, because you are a visionary man or a
Definitely.
visionary
Woman.
So it means that, okay, you might have like 3 yardstick that, okay, these are
Or
the
4.
boundaries. Yeah, like, okay, the person must meet this criteria. Like, one of the criteria could be the person must be a believer in Christ, for example.
Yes.
So, which means
Or the person,
if the person
might
is
even
not,
be a believer in Islam.
okay, the
Yeah.
person can be a believer in this or in that.
That, yes.
So, which means if this person doesn't believe in this or that, I cannot deal
Or
with
the
this.
the vision could be, I want to marry a medical doctor.
Okay, yeah.
Or
And
I
that's-
want to be with a businessman.
Okay, and that becomes the first criteria, because I believe that you can't just be expecting to get married to someone just by your feelings or emotional connection, just
Exactly.
because you're feeling strong for this
It
person.
will always
You're
fail.
going to fail in that relationship.
Yeah.
So you should have your do's, and there are things you can manage, and there are things you can never deal with. Like you, so having that yardstick helps you a lot to know
Exactly.
that, okay, these are the things I can never deal with in life
Yes.
or in marriage. So you know what they are. So
Yes.
once you want to engage with someone, before you commit your emotion to that person, because it's always a struggle to get your emotions out when they
Exactly.
are entangled. So before you give out your emotions, you need to bring those values, those core values of yours, and make sure that this person is in line. Okay, let's say like Christians, you know that as a believer, you cannot hook up with a non-Christian,
Exactly.
or maybe you have another faith that you are into. You know that these are no-go areas for
Exactly,
me,
yeah.
and because of it, that becomes the number one, criteria for you, or the number one
Forms the vision statement of your
for you.
relationship.
Okay, like for me, for example, I once had a guy who was an Islam. So he proposed to me. He was so much in love with me, like he loved me so much. He was a very nice guy, very
nice.
good. But I couldn't get along with him because he was an Islam. So I can't even deal with that personally. But to him, he doesn't really have any problem with that.
Exactly.
So with that, he helped me to
look at, that's where people mostly make that mistake. Or let's just get married. What we believe doesn't really matter. But then that's when they just run themselves into
Trouble.
a very, run themselves into trouble that is going to last for a very long time, even in the marriage, because marriage is spiritual, and that's one thing people should understand.